Welcome back. My name is Pastor Charles Omolo, and today, as well as I have already mentioned, we're going to talk about the voodoo, sangoma, the wizard, the kamote series, and all these people seek and go to them as an alternative medication. Do they help? Now, we did the book of Ephesians, and clearly the book of Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 downward, speaks about the evil forces, the dark forces, the spiritual forces that are within the heavenly realm. And these are forces behind every wicked scheme that we have in our system. At times people do things and you wonder, how can someone wake up and just murder? How can someone wake up and molest a child? How, and so you got to wake up and realize that if we do not have God in place, we will not be healed. Now, I remember my grandparents, my grandfather never believed in this, sorcery, witchcraft, say. And so one time, I remember clearly, we woke up early in the morning and found a dead cat, which with a snake coiled around it. And literally, in normal sense, you'd say that, the snake wanted to eat this, the cat, or the cat wanted to eat the snake, and the cat, got bit by the snake and the poison got into it, it died. But this now different. We got that, but at the same time, the cat's tummy was cut into two, and the intestines was peeled out. And so how does a snake do that? Then you realize there was something beyond. But my grandfather never believed in that. He just said, what, come on. These people, they believe in nonsense. That we took the thing, we would go and bury, and that was it. I think the next time something else happened, but he never believed. So where I came from, I didn't believe in that. So even as I grew up as a Christian, my perspective on those things was so clear. But I want you to imagine someone who has lived in that particular family that believes in that, and you become a Christian. There's just a way the past will come and affect you once in a while, and the tendency to want to desire to compromise is so high. Now, I want to give you an illustration. As I grew up as a child, there's a time where my mom and dad left me with my stepmother, and I went through a very traumatic moment, and my point of solace was simply to suck my hand. And what happened, later on, that was my point of solace, a coping mechanism. But recently, as I've grown older, I realized that this is still my point of solace, to a point where this particular finger here, it has a little mark on it, dark mark. So whenever I want to go sleep, or when I'm thinking deep, I find my finger here. The other day, my wife took a photo of that and, showed me that that's how I console myself. So this is when I was young, and it is still with me up to date. Is it sinful? It is no. But I'm trying to imagine someone who has grown up with a voodoo family, in a family that believes in witchcraft. What happens? You end up finding that conquering that imagination becomes hard. One time I went to bury my brother and my cousin who had died. There were a lot of issues which were there traditionally, and they felt he was cursed. So even the pastors of the village, that's way back in about like 15, 20 years ago. Yeah. And so they feared that if they buried him, what would happen? That the curse of that family would come to them. So I ended up doing everything from building, constructing a house, a tent, digging the grave with the young men, and doing the sermon the following day. And you realize simply because people spoke in the funeral that whoever does that will die, you can imagine the trauma that I had to go through coming back. I'm still a young man, and imagining now I'm in the bus. What if this bus, it does what? What if this bus, gets involved in an accident? And that fear was a reality. I pray that we will not take our past for granted, but we must be intentional to want to fight it. But how do we fight it? And this is what we talk about. The memory that has been stored in our subconscious, we have to first of all recognize and identify that there are particular fears that have grown within us over time. Fear of the dark forces. And we've known that people who have spoken of such back way in our countries, those who disobey, things happen to them, and those things become a reality. The mouth, what you say, what you believe, as a man thinketh, so is. And this is what I want to share with us. As a Christian, we must not take this for granted, but you and I must accept that these forces are there. But then what do? We quickly run to take the armor of God, protect ourselves and cover ourselves. What about a Christian who has lived through this and do not know what to do and how to handle? Seek for advice. Get someone to talk to, and so that you can be able to work through that intentionally. Will it go away? It might not go away, but the fact that you are aware, then you put a red flag on it. When those fears come, you take a phone call, you talk to somebody, and it helps you to pull through. That's part 2 of our series. Please welcome to the next part, which I will share again, and I hope this will inspire you as well. At New Life Health Opinion, we only give you opinion, but what you do with it, it's upon you. Doctor Street, but God heals. Thank you.